Yata Tattva Avabadhanam Yo Yogo Bhagavadabhano Nirvanatam Tayat Yotita KrishnaKC Kanjani Yadas Tattva Abodhanam Yo Yogo Bhagavadbhanu Nirvana Natam Tayat Yotita KrishnaKC Kanjani Yatas Tattva Apodhanam Yo Yoga Bhagavan Bhanu Nirvana Natamam Tayat Yotita KrishnaKC Kanjani Yadas Tattva Bodhanam
Yo Yoga Bhagavan Spanu Nirvana Mamstayodataha KrishnaKC Changani Yatastafa Vabodhanam Yo Yoga Bhagavadbhanu
Yo Bhagavadbhanu
Nirvana Tamamstayodataha KrishnaKC Chanani Yatastafa Vabodhanam
Yo 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 bhagavano. Nirvana Jayavita. Judas Pati Chandani.
Yo yogo Bhagavad Pano.
Yo 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 Bhagavad Pano.
Nirvanatmam Svayoditaha. Kidrisha Kati Changani.
Krisha Kati Chandani.
Yatas Tatvava Bodhanam.
Yogata Sapyaptani Tapsamayotam.
Okay, please chant.
Yo yogo bhagavad bhano
Yo yogo Bhagavad Pano.
nirvanatmam svayoditaha
Nirvanatmam Svayoditaha.
kedrishaha kati changani
Kidrisha Kati Changani.
yatastattvavabodhanam.
Yatas Tatvava Bodhanam.
Yo yogo bhagavad pano
Yo yogo Bhagavad Pano.
nirvanatmam svayoditaha
Nirvanatmam Svayoditaha.
nirdesha kati changani
Kidrisha Kati Changani.
yatastat bhavabodhanam.
Yatas Tatvava Bodhanam. Okay. Yaha. Which?
Mystic yoga process. Aiming at the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nirvana Atman. O embodiment of Nirvana. Tvaya. By you. Uditaha. Explain. Kidrishaha. Of what nature? Kati. How many? Cha. And. Ingani. Branches. Yatta. By which? Tattva. Of the truth. Avabodhanam. Understanding. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The mystic yogi system, as you have explained, aims at the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is meant for completely ending material existence. Please let me know the nature of that yoga system. How many ways are there by which one can understand the truth that sublime yoga? Gorntai Ki Jai. Purport. There are different kinds of mystic yoga systems, aiming for different phases of absolute truth. The Jnana yoga system aims at the impersonal Brahman effulgence, and the Hatha yoga system aims at the localized personal aspect, the Paramatma, feature of the absolute truth. Whereas Bhakti Yoga, or devotional service, which is executed in 9 different ways, headed by hearing and chanting, aims at complete realization of the Supreme Lord. There are different methods of self-realization, but here, Devahuti especially refers to Bhakti Yoga system, which has already been primarily explained by the Lord. The different parts of the Bhakti Yoga system are hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshiping the Lord in the temple, accepting service to Him, carrying out His orders, making friendship with Him, and ultimately surrendering everything for the service of the Lord. The word nirvanatamam is very significant in this verse. Unless one accepts the process of devotional service, one cannot end the continuation of material existence. As far as the jnanis are concerned, they are interested in jnana yoga, but even if one elevates oneself after a great performance of austerity to the Brahman effulgence, there is a chance of falling down again to the material world. Therefore, jnana yoga does not actually end material existence. Similarly, regarding the Hatha yoga system, which aims at the localized aspect of the Lord, Paramatma, it has been experienced that many yogis, such as Vishvamitra, fall down. But bhakti yogis, once approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead, never come back to this material world, as is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Yadgatva na nirvatanti. Upon going, one never comes back. Tayatva diham punarjamma nati. After giving up this body, he never comes back again to accept a material body. Nirvana does not finish the existence of the soul. The soul is ever existing. Therefore, nirvana means to end one's material existence. And to end the material existence means to go back home, back to Godhead. Sometimes it is asked how the living instantly falls down from the spiritual world to the material world. Here's the answer. Unless one is elevated to the Vaikuntha planets directly in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is prone to fall down, either from the impersonal Brahman realization or from the ecstatic trance of meditation. In other words, in this verse, Bhagavad Bana is very significant. Bana means arrow. The Bhakti Yoga system is just like an arrow aiming up to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhakti Yoga system never urges one towards the impersonal Brahman effulgence or to the point of the Paramatma realization. This bana or arrow is so sharp and swift that it goes directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, penetrating the regions of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. So the mystic yogi system, as you have explained, aims at the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is meant for complete ending material existence. Please let me know the nature of the yoga system. How many ways are there by which one can understand in truth that sublime yoga? Yeah, once again, we're coming out to find out that Bhakti Yoga is the supreme yogi, supreme yogas of all the yoga. That's all these other yoga processes, where they were good in previous ages. We're in the age of Kali now, and Bhakti Yoga is the recommended yoga. One can, try to come to this realization in, Jnana Yoga, but ultimately it has to lead one to Bhakti Yoga. Same thing with Hatha Yoga. One tries to perfect Hatha Yoga. Eventually, one has to come to the realization that they have to come to Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is where it's at. It's the one that's the process that we can fully eliminate our material desires and go back home, back to Godhead. Because this material world is, this material world is very addicting. We're all addicted to this material world. And the Bhakti Yoga system is what it takes to go back home to Godhead. If there's any questions or comments, appreciate it. Yeah, yes, Prabhu. It's on.
If one reaches the sun planet and meets the sun god Vivaswan, one automatically knows what is the sun globe, as well as what is the sun shine. So Bhakti Yoga is so important. It's so nice that the means and the end are the same. We're serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the agency of Guru, and the same process will continue even after liberation and even after if we go to the spiritual world. So Bhakti Yoga includes everything, all kinds of realizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, it's the supreme yoga. Because we have to get this. We have to get this here in this lifetime to perform devotional service. Because ultimately, we're going to be performing devotional service when we're going back home, back to Godhead. So if we can't figure it out, in the human body, then we can't get back home to the spiritual world. It's where it's very important in the Bhakti Yoga system, the Paramparam system. This wonderful system that we have. Taking on a spiritual master. Spiritual master is the ultimate guide. He teaches us how to love Krishna. Because today's world, we don't know what love is. We hear the word love all the time. It's overused. I love my house. I love my car. I love my job. I love my dog. I love my goldfish. I love pizza. It's you hear this word used so much, so it seems so simple to offer God with love and devotion. But we only know this perverted form of love in this material world. And it takes the guru, the spiritual master, to teach us how to love God again. And it takes the spiritual master on how to surrender. Because most of us, we don't know how to surrender. We're so attached to the material contamination, this material world, that we have so many material desires. I always say this material world is an addiction that we're trying to overcome. And to fully surrender, it takes a spiritual guide. It takes a spiritual master to help you understand how to surrender and how to love. Because that's the only way that we're going to get back home, back to Godhead. The process of surrendering is you're learning how to surrender your material desires. You're surrendering everything about yourself, all your material desires, as part of the surrender. And any attachments that you have are stumbling blocks. Get back home, back to Godhead. Even the smallest little attachment to this material world can keep you bound and entangled to this world. There's nothing too small. Because Krishna is so merciful, he's trying to fulfill all of our desires. And if we still have these material desires at the time of death, when it's time to give up this body, we still have these material desires that we are attached to, even the smallest one. Krishna is going to fulfill that desire. He's going to give you a body to be able to fulfill that, even that smallest material desire that you have. And so that's where we're also learning, how to, we're practicing devotional service and preparing ourselves for the time of death. And through this practice, we're learning how to transform our desires from these material desires that, like I said, this world is so addicting. Everyone's addicted to this material world. That's why we're here. We're so addicted to enjoying our sense gratification. We're trying to transform these desires to desire Krishna only, to have him our biggest and ultimate most desire. That's where it's like I said, it's important with the guru-disciple relationship. Because through the guru that we can learn how to surrender, how to transform our desires. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Mataji.
I was thinking about the word nirvana. In Buddhist religion, like they talk about nirvana to be when everything's finished, like it's over. Like they consider everything to be like matter, and once we are, they consider us to be the bodies, not the soul. So when we die, everything's finished according to them. But here it's the same word but different meaning to it. So I guess I'm guessing same word but different religions use add a different meaning to them, or
Yeah, the thing you have to keep in mind about Buddhism. Buddhism, derived from India. It derived from our Vedic system. It's an expansion of that. But Buddhism basically takes our Vedic system and just changes a little bit of the language, a little bit of the wording, and creates Buddhism. The Vedic system is all about, coming to this conclusion that there's one God, the supreme God, Krishna. And we're all servants of that supreme God. And Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate form, of yoga to get back home, back to Godhead. And Buddhism comes in, and Buddhism is more of agnostic. Most of them are atheists. You know, I prefer to say most Buddhists are agnostic. They just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to. They acknowledge that there is a God. You know, it's in their mind, it's an argument that it's not worth having, because you just can't prove it through logic in their mind. And so Buddhism goes from, instead of, you know, the soul that is, you know, being recycled birth after birth after birth in this cycle of the system of samsara. They instead they say it's the mind that continues on. The mind is being recycled. And nirvana, for them, you know, because ultimately Buddhism is merging into everything. They're merging back. That's their whole aspiration, is to merge back into everything, to give up their individuality. For me, I almost think of it like a spiritual suicide, because you're giving up yourself totally. Bhakti yoga is different. We're not here to give up the self. We're here to be the individual. But we're learning how to perfect this individuality through devotional service, and learning how to be the servant. This is the perfection of the self. So we're not here to give up the self. We're not here to destroy the self. We're here to transform the self to its perfection. And that perfection is being a part and parcel of God, part and parcel of Krishna. Learning how to be his servant once again. Yes, Prabhu.
Wondering if I could read this. It's really short. Just chapter 2, verse 72. The word here is Brahma Nirvanam, which Prabhupada translates as the kingdom of God. So the translation: that is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. Being so situated, even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Purport: one can attain Krishna consciousness or divine life at once, within a second, or one may not attain such a state of life even after millions of births. It is only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. Padvanga Maharaj attained this state of life just a few minutes before his death by surrendering unto Krishna. Nirvana means ending the process of materialistic life. According to Buddhist philosophy, there is only void after the completion of this material life. But Bhagavad Gita teaches differently. Actual life begins after the completion of this material life. For the gross materialist, it is sufficient to know that one has to end this materialistic way of life. But for persons who are spiritually advanced, there is another life after this materialistic life. Before ending this life, if one fortunately becomes Krishna conscious, he at once attains the stage of Brahma Nirvana. There is no difference between the kingdom of God and the devotional service of the Lord. Since both of them are in the absolute plane, to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. In the material world, there are activities of sense gratification, whereas in the spiritual world, there are activities of Krishna consciousness. Attainment of Krishna consciousness, even during this life, is immediate attainment of Brahman, and one who is situated in Krishna consciousness has certainly already entered into the kingdom of God. Brahman is just the opposite of matter. Therefore, Brahma Stiti means not on the platform of material activities. Devotional service of the Lord is accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as the liberated stage. Therefore, Brahma Stiti is liberation from material bondage. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur summarized this chapter, the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, as being the contents for the whole text. In the Bhagavad Gita, the subject matters are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In the second chapter, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga have been clearly discussed, and a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga has also been given as the contents for the complete text.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Very nice. Yeah, and the thing to remember about modern day Buddhism, it's there are so many divisions of it now. You know, it's gone. You have a question or comment, Prabhu?
You were talking about earlier about Krishna wanting us to fulfill our material desires, but I was wondering why he wants us to do that.
Why he wants us to do that? Well, I think it's more or less he's allowing us to perform our free will. You know, he's given us all free will. And ultimately, he wants the genuine article. He wants his servants to be pure, to purely desiring him only, to be back home with him. He wants all of us to go back home to him. But many times it takes millions and millions of births to come to this realization, to come to this knowledge that, oh man, I've been chasing after my material desires for how long? It's becoming tiring. It's this chase, because these material desires are empty. They don't last. There's not a single material desire in this world that you can grab and hold and hold on to, because by the time you grab it, poof, it's gone. By the time you attain this little bit of happiness, poof, it's gone. You got to start all over again. So for many ways, it takes the soul's journey to come to this understanding just through time and experience of chasing after these mundane things over and over and over again. Just like, oh man, I'm tired of this chase. You know, I want something fulfilling. I don't want this emptiness. You know, in my own life, I had to come to this realization, because there's a time in my life that I had a good life. I made good money. I had a great job. I had a home. I had a nice wife. But no matter how much I surrounded myself with these material pleasures, and no matter how, it wasn't enough. Everything just felt empty. Onitai ki jai. Everything just felt empty. And so I resorted to alcohol and marijuana and drugs to find to try to get a little more excitement and a little more happiness in my life. That only lasted for so long. And eventually that became empty. And it's only when I began to realize that, relying on even these substances that were supposed to bring me this joy and happiness all of a sudden became a vice and a poison in the long run. It's when I realized that everything else in this world is just empty. And Krishna, devotional service to Krishna, gives you real full satisfaction. And that's where it's at. There's nothing else that of our material senses that you can hold on to. Bhakti yoga is where it's at. Any last minute questions or comments before we end class? Got an online one?
Okay, you can make your comment on mine.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I wanted to add 3 points about Bhakti Yoga. First is that Bhakti is independent. It does not depend upon Jnana, Ashtanga Yoga or Karma or anything, any other process to give its result. It is totally independent. Second point is all other processes like Yoga, Jnana, Karma, they are dependent on Bhakti. So unless and until there is a tinge of Bhakti in any of these processes, they cannot give their result. So they are also ultimately dependent on Bhakti. Like for karma, when we do sacrifice, we chant Vishnu's name. In Ashtanga Yoga also, ultimately on the last stage, you have to meditate on Vishnu. So they are ultimately dependent on Bhakti. And then third point is, Bhakti Yoga can give the result of Jnana, Ashtanga Yoga or karma by itself. She is not dependent on all these karma, plus she can give, all these activities, plus she can give that result which none of these processes can give, that is Krishna Prem. So this is the glory of Bhakti Maharani. Like she is independent, but all other processes are dependent on her. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Thank you, Bhagavad. Very well said. Thank you so much. That is our time for today. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All right. Please forgive me, Prabhus. I fell into ignorance and woke up late. Please forgive me.